Thank you. Good morning, all the viewers, rather my dear friends. Happy New Year, since I'm joining first time this year. So my New Year wishes to all the participants and Makar Sankranti today. We are in this 37th practical training module, and today we have kept the topic that is forensic audit. Forensic audit is an area which is very promising for we chartered accountants. We feel that in the coming years, chartered accountant will definitely mark their presence in the field of forensic audit also. So keeping in mind, because all our students who is doing their practical training, that is the articleship, are not getting opportunity to work in the area of forensic audit. So through this medium, if you are not having the experience, not getting the experience in your office day-to-day life, we are providing you that opportunity to understand how if you are getting assignment, how to work in this area. So for this purpose, we have invited Mr. CA Samir Chaudhary and CA Keval Shah. They are going to take the sessions with you. And a special address, we have invited CA Gyanchand Misra, who is Central Council member from Ghaziabad. Earlier, he served as a chairman of the Central India Regional Council and as well as the chairman of the Ghaziabad branch. Gyan Misra ji is very important for the students because he is now presently serving in the exam committee of the other. He's having other roles to play, CP committee and so many other roles he's playing, but the most important role for the student is the member of the exam committee. First time in the history of ICI, the exam committee proved that we can declare the result in a shorter time. And that also they have declared the result, not only in the shorter time, on the 10th of January. Final result used to be declared after 15th of January, but they declared on 10th of January, as well as they have also declared the IPCC result or inter result, we along with that. So that is happened first time. Congratulations to you, Gyanji, and keep doing the great work for the students. So we have invited Gyanji for a special address in today's program. So I'm straightway going to Gyanji for the special address. Please, Gyan sir.
So thank you, Sushil Bhaiya, very respected, dynamic leader of the profession and of course, chairman of Board of Studies, the students part SSEB. And of course, very two dynamic speakers I can see virtually though, Samir ji and Keval ji, and officers of the institute, Kapil ji and Riya ji, and all the blooming birds of the profession. Dear students, good morning to all of you. We all know that the chartered accountancy profession has delivered its own, inputs in the nation building for last 74 years. And probably we are not only accounting professional. If we see, the chartered accountancy profession has become the total business solution provider as of now. Lot of companies are eyeing us as a business solution provider. They are coming with the problems that might not be related to the accountancy, but chartered accountants being eyed for the same. Forensic audit is one of the key area as being auditor as of now. If you see, financial frauds have grown. When any economy, expands, it is natural that some unhealthy practices are bound to creep in the financial system. And that's why if we witness the major fraud that happened way back of Satyam, and after that, we have seen a lot of financial frauds in the banking industry, in other organizations, in the power sector, in the manufacturing sector, we have witnessed over a period of time. Loan restructuring, loan extension, loan consolidation, all those things have come into effect because of the reason of the ill intent, sometime of the management also, and sometime by the outsiders also. That's why if we segregate the forensic thing in two parts. That could be one by the insider, other by the outsider. Insider means the management itself sometime involved in the frauds in the company they have promoted. So friends, it becomes very much important for the forensic auditor to be very vigilant to find out the transactions which have been unhealthy for the business, and of course, which could have been taken a step at the time and could have been averted and avoided. But probably our function is output-based function when the things have happened. So we can draw a thin line how the newer guidelines, newer modus operandi could be given to the management to operate healthy for the interest of the organization, for interest of the country as well. I will not take much time as our learned speakers are here to deliver on the issue. One, two things that I would like certainly touch upon, as Sushil Bhai has mentioned, regarding the exams. I wish that your next exam is very much fruitful to you. One very confusion is among the students across the country, which syllabus to learn, because the new CRET has come. New CRET education system has come into effect. So friends, you please, till the time you are getting clear-cut guidelines from the Board of Studies, you please keep on studying with your old syllabus, because the course is still pending before the ministry for certain approval. So I will request kindly, please be with your old schedules, and very soon you people get the guidelines from the Board of Studies regarding which CRET to undergo. Regarding the exams, we just assure from the examination committee that we will try our best to come up with a seamless, very transparent, and of course, very robust examination pattern as ICI has witnessed for last 74 years. Friends, I would like to share with you one very important aspect that recently Honorable Supreme Court has said that to an organization that if anyone wants to understand the examination system, they should go to ICI. And it's really a matter of pride of us that consistently for 74 years, we have preserved the value and ideology of our forefathers and have delivered the best of the result, of course, best of the secrecy and confidentiality. I will not take much time as our learned speaker are here. I once again congratulate each and every student who have successfully passed the examination, and for those who could not do this time, I assure that please keep on hammering on the point which are weak area for you, and certainly you will become chartered accountant one day and you will take the legacy of the profession ahead. So thank you, Sushil Bhaiya, for giving this wonderful opportunity to work though virtually, but interact with the best brains of the country. I mean the CA students, and I'm sure that these type of programs under your leadership is going to sharpen the skills and knowledge base of the students in order to have best training and of course to be the best professional in coming time. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, Gyan Bhai, for inspiring speech. Definitely, student will get motivated. And let me again confirm it. There are 5 exam committee members, but Gyan Bhai is contributing highest. His contribution is highest in the exam department whenever exam department is requiring. And we call it. Just a few days back, somebody was trying him and he was not available. We call it once somebody is entering the exam department, he has to leave his mobile outside. So he's untouchable with the world and very difficult to find. And there's a dedication required. So thank you, Gyan Bhai, for doing the great work and being here. Thank you. Over to office to continue with the program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words. Thank you, Gyan, sir, for such a wonderful information that you have been shared among the students and the motivation you have been given. Now, our main speakers are the CA Keval Shahji and Sameer Sirji. CA Keval is born in 1996 and he has done his CA in 2017. He has now been recognized by his peer group as amongst the top tax advisor in India. His ability to relate the business strategies of client to the tax and regulatory environment has been recognized as a unique and has played a critical role in involving solution for clients. He's a person who believes in gaining knowledge by a way of self-study and thorough analysis of Indian laws. As a co-founder of JAK, he is responsible for strategic planning, operational management, supervision and quality control of audits and performed by the audits and advisory function, primarily for the clients operating in the financial service industry and real estates and SME. Is a forte in-depth knowledge in consulting under GST and income tax. He has been ICI certification course on concurrent audits of banks, certificate course on forensic audit and fraud detections, certified information in ESA, and he is a MCOM at the age of, and he's a YouTube blogger in China titled as CA Keval Shah. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning and thank you so much. And once again, good morning to all the students present over here. So I think the speaker for today's session is CA Sameer Chaudhary sir, and I would like to introduce sir because sir is a great faculty who has very in-depth knowledge in today's topic. So CA Sameer Chaudhary sir is a treasurer of Ahmedabad branch of WIRC of ICAI. He is also the chairman of newsletter committee and post qualification committee for the year 2022-23. By qualification, he is a fellow chartered accountant, AMCOM, LLB, DISA, diploma in cybersecurity, and also did certification course by ICAI on FAFD, CSR, concurrent audit of banks, insolvency bankruptcy code, and he is also pursuing for registered valuer on securities and financial assets and PhD from GLS College, Ahmedabad. He is a senior partner at Chaudhary Shah and Associates LLP, a CA firm having its offices in Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and Mumbai, and it is established since 1992. The firm is registered in Indian Bank Association for forensic audit of frauds below 50 crores and above 50 crores, which is among top 200 firms across India in forensic audit, and also empaneled with agency for special mentoring. Importantly, he is also visiting faculty in GLS Law College, teaching LLB and LLM students, and sharing his knowledge on YouTube with a channel named Fintech's Chanakya, which is, and sir has also taken more than 300 webinars and seminars at various platforms. Moreover, he is also associate president of CIM SC of Ahmedabad district and also an advisor board of Sachot Samachar. He's at board of mentor for startups with Swarnim Startup University, Gandhinagar, which has been inaugurated by our own Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. He is also qualified as independent director and founder trustee in Help Foundation Serving Society since 2014. So it's a great pleasure for each and everyone present over here and also for all the students across the nation to learn from CA Sameer Chaudhary sir. Over to you, sir. So please take the session and enlighten all of us with your in-depth knowledge and experience. So can you please unmute yourself?
Sir, unmute.
Yeah, is it okay now?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. First of all, thanks, Keval, for such a kind introduction. And I would like to give my special thanks to President sir and Vice President sir in absentia, Sushil Goyal sir, who is the chairman of the committee, Sridhar sir in absentia, Gyanchand Mishra sir, who have guided students in a very lucid manner about the exams and all the motivation about him, Kapil ji, Riya ji, Vidhi ma'am, and Keval, moderator, and my dear friend. Friends, on 15th, that is a Sunday, if you all are joining this seminar, it means you all have been succeed in your life. That's the most important thing. Vidhi ji, is the screen visible now?
Yes, sir.
Great. So friends, the topic for today is financial frauds in financial statements, and most importantly, forensic perspective. Gyanchand sir and even Sushil sir have guided us that what is the importance of forensic audit in future. And one statement which is most important for all of us, and when we join CA and audit comes into picture, one thing I always remember, that is auditor is a watchdog and not a bloodhound. But do we think that really government is appreciating that thing in today's arena? Because our corporate governance is changing on a day-to-day basis. And the same thing, the technology and even the financial statements have been much more wider than it was before few decades. But we know one thing, that since the expectation of the government, the corporate governance, and even the government comes that CA should be, and most importantly, auditors should be a watchdog. And that is a wrong thing. But now we can say that government is expecting that we should be a bloodhound, because we know that audit, if we are doing a statutory audit or something like that, it's a post-mortem effect. But government expect that no, all the things that is happening at the venue of the client, in the books of the clients, we should know, जैसे कि हम भगवान हैं. But many times it doesn't happen. And when we talk about the financial fraud, there are many type of crime are there. But when it comes to financial fraud, it's a serious crime, I would say. And with the help of technology, with the help of fintech, with the help of techfin, all such stuff, it impacts a lot. Because when we're talking about the financial statements, it hits all the stakeholders of the company. And what about the stakeholders? Stakeholders means you all are FC, that is future chartered accountants, and one of the best mind in the world since you're pursuing CA. And in some time, within a year, 2 or 3, you all will become a chartered accountants. So we know one thing, that stakeholders means the person who has an interest in the business of the firm. Let's say it can be creditors of a company, debtors of a company, government itself, stock exchange, its investor, if there is promoters of a company, and many more. And when any company gets any financial fraud, then there is an impact to them. And if someone remember the movie that is Scam 1992, हर्षद मेहता, because जब फाइनेंशियल फ्रॉड की बात आती है या फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स की बात आती है या शेयर मार्केट की बात आती है, then there will come a name of that person, because today we are into the era of 2023, and before 3 decades something happened, and which was really a very drastic one in the equity market, and which brings to the role of SEBI, that is Security Exchange Board of India. And even the RBI was into a much more effect after that thing. So a person who have shook the whole equity market at that moment, and even many frauds has taken place. But when the forensic actually comes into picture, comes into our mind, and before taking that thing, you can see an image which is in the back end side. What is happening? No one, because when I always used to say that when a crime is taking place or fraud is taking place at some place, so there was a world where there was a physical fraud was there. Just remember the movies of the old system, that lion बोल रहा हूँ, आपकी बेटी मेरे कब्जे में है. And if you want your daughter back, you have to come into the back of that haveli or something, upahadi ke piche aa jao, and you have to pay me some money. But in this image, you can see nothing is required. A computer is required. A fraudster is there. By looking at his eyes, we can see that he may have some malefied intention. But so why are you using the word malefied? Because when the real meaning of fraud comes into picture, we're going to learn on the same. We're going in today's seminar, friends, about the financial, what is financial statements, what is a fraud, what is the most important thing in forensic audit, and why we want to check all this stuff with the forensic perspective. I'm sure, friends, after 2 hours of this lecture, I'm sure and 100% sure that we all are going to learn something new, and you will take something good at your home. Talking about the same, let's discuss about the fraud. What is meant by fraud? Fraud refers to an intentional act by one or more individuals among management, those charged with governance. Most important thing, the person who can do frauds, there can be one or more individual persons, they can be among the management, means a promoter. कुछ याद आए तो आपको बताना मुझे. Scam 1992, Harshad Mehta case. Harshad Mehta himself was a person who pursued all these things. I never say whether what the real story was, whether he was a scapegoat or he was really a fraudster. But we know one thing: he did a mistake. He manipulated the system. He played with the system, and so obviously he did a wrong thing. When we're talking about the person who have authority of the governance, employee of that company, third party, involving the use of deception to obtain an unjust or illegal advantage. Friends, when we're talking about the same, kindly note one thing, that there was a nice saying with respect to one thing, that Sar Ghar ka bhedi lanka dhai. And we have checked that thing where? Yes, in Ramayana. And even the Ayodhya is getting built up, and it will be there within 3 years, what we expect. But friends, most important thing, Ravan was not able to kill if Vibhishan haven't given the secret that you should hit your Dhanush at that place to Ram and all his team. The same thing over here. When the fraud takes place, and even I'm going to move further in our further session, that when it used to happen, because there is an intentional act and a person who is insider will do something what. But what are the special things in the notification we have seen? Most important is deception to obtain an unjust or illegal advantage. When we're talking about a financial fraud, friends, money is obviously involved into that because it's a finance. The notable points are intentional act, those charged with the governance, third party, deception, and unjust advantage. Moving further on these things, friends, let's see, we are talking about the fraud, but how one can identify the fraudster. This is just a generic profile. It can match to your fraudster or not, but yes, I'm sure that we can get some hint. And when we're talking about forensic, what I always used to say, just remember a famous serial in Sony TV, which was a CID, where it comes as ACB Pradyumna always says, Daya kuch to hai. Means this Daya kuch to hai comes as a red flag. And even that's why I have wore a tie that is a red, because you can remember about the red flag, and which is the most important thing when we're talking about the forensic audit. Means here we can see that a fraud sick person generally shows the following symptoms, which are experiencing financial difficulties. If a person is satisfied with all the means, he's not going to make any fraud. But if a person is lacking something, he may start to do some fraud. And same thing happened over here, that he's experiencing financial difficulties, usually close association with the vendors or customer. Means we have informed about the governance, and the person who is capable of having a close association with the vendors or the customers of a company, he may perpetrate the fraud. He is having an excessive work pressure. Sir, yes, batein to bol rahe ho, it's okay. But how we are going to know this thing? Further, we are going to know this. Don't worry, friends. He have a control issues on he is unwillingness to share his duty with any other people. Why, sir? Because if he is going to dilute his control or share his duties, people will come to know about his intention or the work he's doing in a wrong manner. And he always have a complaints about his pay. Fraudster's more generic profile, he may have a divorce or a family problems, irritability, suspicious or defensive. He may have some addiction problems. Just remember, if you are watching any movie or a person nearby your surrounding, if he has some addiction, addiction can be of anything. It can be of some bookie type, means he is doing a bookie type of nature in cricket, in equity market, in crypto, anything like that. He's addicted to some alcohol, some drugs or something like that. If person is into that world, he cannot remember what is good and what is bad. He's having a refusal to take vacations. Everyone is enjoying the vacation around the year, but that specific person is telling, my business, my office, my job is my God, and how can I live this? He is becoming much more, I would say, responsible for the company. He shows that, no, I'm here only. I cannot leave anything like that. He enjoys superior trust than others. Means the promoter of the company, or let's say if I'm talking about the CEO promoter of the company, other people or stakeholders have a dear nature with respect to him. He prefers to work alone. He don't want to have any person nearby him, or he don't want a concept of a checker and maker. Means if he's making something, someone check that thing, and he may be an unusually normal person. So many things happens. The most important movie which comes right now before a month, that is Drishyam 2, and there was a previous sequel of that movie, Drishyam Part 1, जहाँ पे पंजिम में जाके 2 दिन के लिए स्वामी महाराज के यहाँ पे उन्होंने जाके क्या की थी, पूजा की थी. And many people, I'm sure, that have watched that movie. What happens? Everything comes out, and the fraudster, if he's perpetrating something, I'm not telling what may be the situation of that event, friends. हो सकता है हर एक इंसान बुरा नहीं होता, हालात उसे बुरा बनाते हैं. प्लीज नोट, फिर से कह रहा हूं, कोई इंसान बुरा नहीं होता. 99% केस में हालात उसे बुरा बनाते हैं. But if he's doing wrong, it's a wrong thing. And in the same way, at that time, at the end of movie, we're watching that he was smart, he have made everything in a smart manner. But somewhere the mistake has happened, and it was a breach of trust for the police and everyone. Who are the fraud stakeholders? I have informed you in the initial of my lecture about the stakeholders. They are people that are affected by that fraud, means creditors, institution or business who have a controlling effect. It may be a holding company, associate companies, sister company, or some company who have given a loan or finance or taken a loan or finance from that company. Financial institutions and its intermediary, federal or local government, financial markets. Most important, if company is listed on a stock market, then comes a financial market or a stock market company. And the most important person, that is the investor, because investor is the person who puts hard-earned money of his to the company. It is said, friends, when we talks about the financial frauds or anything, fraud can be of any type. We are going to discuss in detail on that. But when talking about some bank or something like that, or some financial institutions, it is said that whenever any fraud takes place in any financial institutions, 38% of the fraud victims close their accounts at the financial where fraud took place. Just remember, before few days, a news about ICICI Bank, where Chanda Kochar, the one of the case which shook the whole bank, was found guilty in the case of Mr. Dhut in Videocon case. And even it came into picture that Chanda Kochar husband was also involved in that event. What happened? There was a long queue outside ICICI Bank where people were thinking that they will lose their money and all such stuff. And even before few years, there was an incident at Cosmos Cooperative Bank when there was a cyber attack. And why I used to talk much more on cyber attack, because it is a topic which is dear to me. And when there was a cyber attack at Cosmos Cooperative Bank, and there was a swift transactions, money has been run from ATMs of the across globe. There must not be ATM of Cosmos Cooperative Bank other than India, what I believe, which is having its head office at Pune. But across the globe, the money have been withdrawn through ATM by doing some fraud. People have started to stand in a queue and take out their money. So this is the most important thing. When we're talking about a forensic audit and a word and a name of a fraud triangle doesn't come into picture, is not good. That is my expectation, friends, and what I believe. Because fraud triangle is the most important thing. And the same way, the person who is standing over here like this, it comes in your mind that what is this fraud triangle? हमने बचपन से ट्रायंगल की बात की है, स्क्वायर की बात की है, लाइन की बात की है, इवन रेक्टेंगल की बात की, डायमंड की बात की है. But so what is this fraud triangle? Friends, 99% frauds come into picture with the help of this fraud triangle, because it is a tool which is used in forensic auditing that explains 3 interrelated. That is a connecting. We can say about connecting dots that assist a commission of fraud. And fraud can be a various way, but mostly these three things come into picture, which are most importantly is a pressure for a person that he gets a motivate if it has some pressure. We discuss about the addiction of some person, a financial pressure, some family pressure, a divorce pressure, anything it can be, or he may be disturbed with that thing. So if he has that pressure, so there will be chances that he commits some fraud. If he has some opportunity, then means if he has some ability to carry out the fraud. I told you about the maker and checker. Just think why banks are keeping concurrent audits, revenue audit, stock audit, due diligence, and many more. There was a period when the branch manager has the whole power to sanction the loan. And now they have incorporated the SME division, the RAC division, a specific branch where branch manager has a limited power to sanction the loan and disburse the same, but the special branch or special unit is there, which where the branch manager and the other people brings the file over there, and their only task is to sanction the loan. And even there's a third party due diligence, and even the nationalized banks even talking about, they have a written conversation and I would say written agreement which is very much clear about the roles and responsibility of a valuer and a person who is doing a title of a properties for the bank. Because where in the previous period, I'm not targeting anything specific sector, but since it's a lecture of a financial statement fraud and a fraud, we are discussing on that thing, and discussing about this loan part is the reason that all such stuff, the back end will be the financial statement, please note. So if people have that opportunity, let's say some XYZ branch manager, he has a power to sanction loan of 100 crores and no one is there to check his documents or anything like that. What he will do? He will simply do one thing. He is going to do anything. He can mingle with the client. He can mingle with the consultant and he can charge exorbitant fees, or I would say a bribe on that part. He will club with the valuer, the title clear person, and he can do anything. We have seen the fantastic case of Vijay Mallya, the Kingfisher. Someone says that there was a lot of property for Kingfisher, something like that. We have seen a fantastic case of Gitanjali James, that is Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi, which took the PNB Bank, and even it was a consolidated bank. Friends, let me tell you, just imagine there was a concurrent audit in a bank, which was a normal trend. Now it comes an agency for special monitoring, that is ASM in forensic audit. When it takes place, because when Keval was reading my profile, so it came into picture that he is even registered in an agency for special monitoring. So people must be thinking, what is this? Before few years, even I was thinking of that. What is this ASM? Friends, when someone is taking a finance from a bank, whether it's a single bank finance or a consortium funding, so at that time, if the funding amount crosses rupees 250 crores, at that moment of time, bank is really keen to see that many times the loans and advance of that bank branch is not more than even 50 crores, but the money is in stake is more than 250 crores. At that person, that ASM consultant is defined to check only the financial and all the movement or a transaction audit and all in a detailed manner, the audit of that specific client. Means I can say it is not a post-mortem, but it's a working with them hands on hands, so that the chances of frauds is really getting reduced. Or I can say it is a preventive measure by the bank for this thing. Coming about the rationalization, means a justification of dishonest intentions. There was a movie, Dawn, and all other movies in the past. And even we have seen that what it says, they always have a justification of their dishonest intention. Dawn भले गलत करता है, तो वो पैसे अमीरों से लेके जो गलत करे हैं, उनसे लेके गरीबों की मदद करता है. And even furthermore thing, what they used to say that everyone is doing wrong thing. Why shouldn't I? I'm going to repay that thing. Remember again the famous movie Scam 1992, where he have taken a huge amount of bill. He have taken a huge amount of, I won't say loan, but a bill or a bill of entry from SBI Bank, where he have to redeem the same within 7 days, but the time limit have extended. What he said, मरे कहाँ जा रहा हूँ, पैसे देने ही हैं. Why you are now doing such a thing with me? Everyone is doing that. When the justification comes into picture for dishonest intention, so it says a rationalization. So please note P, pressure, O, opportunity, and R, rationalization. And when all such stuff comes into picture, so a fraud triangle. What I'm telling you, friends, again, please, fraud triangle completes. And you can see nearby your area and everything. These things happens a lot, many times. Moving further, friends, what about the fraud triangle in detailed manner? First is the perceived pressure. We have discussed about that. There can be financial pressure, means greed. He have lalchi hai insan. Addiction we have already discussed. He have a poor credit rating or cash management, and he have, I can say, a simple example. He needs a loan for doing something, and the bank is not sanctioning a loan to him or her or it, because its CIBIL or poor credit rating is already there. He is not having a proper cash management. Many times you will find many salary employees who gets their salary between 1st to 7th. They are living a lavish life, and after 20th of the month, initially they were king when we get credit, when a salary is credited in their account, and after 20th they again become a beggar, I would say, or they again become a poor. And that for surviving that 10 important days, they need a money from some friend, some relative, some nearby person, or some bank, and which comes as a poor cash management to them. And if a huge financial pressure is there, it can be a rule. We have heard about IPL, which is going to come nearby, which is having a more than 12 or 13 sessions season right now. Many people place a gamble. We remember about the MPL advertisement. तू मैच पे पैसे लगा, मैं तेरा काम करता हूँ. And even many memes comes after this promotion by cricketers. And the same thing happens about when a pressure comes or addiction of that thing happens to people. There's a financial pressure with them. There may be a work pressure, like just like dissatisfaction with the pay the company is paying. People always think, let me tell you example afterward, or overlook for the promotion. वो नया बंदा आया है, उसको promotion आज मिल गया. I'm there in a company from last 20 years, I'm not getting a promotion. Dear, you were a 12th standard pass out person, and there also company make you a finance head. The person who is coming, he has a 5 years glorious experience of working with MNC. He's a chartered accountant, CS, LLB, and many more. But that person is not going to realize that thing, because company is ready to pay everyone, but they have to show their magic, their benefit, why company will pay them. They have a perceived opportunities, let's say weak internal controls. This is the most important thing, friends. If there is a weak internal control in the company, there will be a perceived opportunity by the person who is having that governance. Ineffective monitoring of controls and assets susceptible to frauds. Then comes the rationalization, where is I will pay it back. मैं कहाँ जा रहा हूँ? पैसे वापस दूंगा ना. I deserve a pay raise. A new person came into my company and he got a promotion of 20%. I haven't got the same. I'm working for a company from last 20 years. I deserve pay raise. Now I have to do something. Let owner understand who am I. It's for a good purpose. I'm doing this thing and donating the same to the needy person. It's for a good purpose. And even promoter is manipulating the balance sheet. The finance head will say, even he's manipulating its balance sheet and giving back the profit and not showing the proper profit to the government and taking a much more amount of loan by doing a window dressing. If all such things happens, there will be a rationalization for that person. What are the other fraud vulnerabilities? We discussed about the fraud triangle. उसके अलावा और कोई ऐसे concept है जो ध्यान रखना चाहिए? Most important concept is that, friends, that is a fraud diamond. Sir, कितनी चीजें लेके आओगे? Friends, there are many concepts in even a forensic audits, or I would say forensic accounting. I'm just discussing two main important concepts. One is a fraud triangle. हमने बात की, but there are two persons which is called as a Wolf and Hermanson. In the 2004, they introduced a fraud diamond model. Fraud triangle बहुत समय से चल रहा था, तो don't think कि forensic audit नया है, बहुत साल से चल रहा है. Please note, friends, but they presented another view for the factors to fraud. The theory adds fourth variable capability to three-factor theory of fraud triangle, and which was the most important one, friends. The theory states that three ingredients is already discussed in the fraud triangle, but the fourth most important, that is called capability, and capability is the most important thing. Please note, the fraudster should have the necessary traits and abilities to be the right person to pull it off, and also the confidence and ego that he will not be detected. He'll be to talk himself out of trouble detected. What is that? You will find we already discussed about opportunity, incentive, and rationalization. The most important thing is a capability. Why this capability they are talking about? Because please note, friends, let's say I have already, as Keval said, I have a YouTube channel with the name of Fintech Chanakya. I have prepared a dedicated video on this fraud triangle and fraud diamond, and more than 200 videos are already there in an easy language, which even a layman can understand that. Friends, when talking about this capability, I have given an example in that video. Let's say a cashier or an accounts manager is just having a capacity or is having a value that he can only sanction or he can only authorize a payment of 1,000 rupees in a day to a single party, and he cannot approve more than 5 parties in a day, and there is a working of only 20 days in a company, means 5 days in a month, in a week I would say, and 4 week जैसा काम होता हम ये assume करते हैं. Friends, what is the maximum amount of fraud he can do? 5,000 in a day into 20 days, which comes to maximum 1 lakh rupees fraud he can do with that area of fraud. Means if he's not having a much more capability and the turnover of a company say, let's say 100 crores, so that 1 lakh is going to affect that 100 crores of company. If it's not having a capability of that thing, vice versa. Let's discuss on some other topic. Let's say the owner of a company, a person who is a CEO, CFO, CIO of a company, and he has all the powers, and what amount of fraud he can do. Means the capability is the most important thing, and Wolf and Herman have really very properly have implemented the fourth angle, that is a fraud diamond, to this thing, that is the capability of this thing. Hope you understand that. And friends, if you are doing an audit of any client, if you are doing a taxation work of any client, even a corporate governance or due diligence or this thing, now you will realize, I have checked this thing at that moment of time. There can be some fraud in that area. That client may be manipulating something. You will find in a stock audit, friends, in a revenue audit, many things you will find that. And that is called Daya. Kuch to hai. Moving further on this thing, friends, something is called a fraud skill, where it was a Steve Albrecht, a foreigner, who have discussed on this thing. He says that situational pressures, perceived opportunities, and the most important thing, a personal integrity, are the three factors that lead to fraud. If personal integrity of a person, that is what is meant by personal integrity. Just remember, anyone who can say that, what is meant by personal integrity? Person का वजूद, person की self respect, person कुछ गलत नहीं करेगा, उसका अंदर का स्वाभिमान, all this called as a personal integrity. When situational pressures and perceived opportunities are high, please note, if situational pressure and perceived opportunities are high and personal integrity of person is low, then occupational fraud is much more likely to happen than when the opposite is true. Friends, please note one thing which I want to convey you all. Just remember why the fraud is going to happen. If, let's say, again, I'm telling you why the fraud is going to happen if person who is doing a fraud is looking in a proper manner. Means, so इसका मतलब क्या? इसका मतलब बहुत सिंपल है फ्रेंड्स. फ्रॉड कब होगा? लेट्स से विजय माल्या जो इतने रुपए कमा रहा था, जिसके पास कंपनियां थी, आईपीएल था, आपको पता होगा तो उसके बेटे के लिए बात हुई थी, दीपिका पादुकोण हु इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट एक्टर वॉज विथ हिम, जिसके पास किंग फिशर का मालिक था, पूरा आसमान उसे छाया हुआ था किंग फिशर के साथ में. Why they were talking about Satyam scam, which took the financial world in the year 2008, जहां पे गोल्डन पिकॉक अवार्ड मिला हुआ था सत्यम को. एंड रामालिंगा राजू को क्या मुश्किल थी, बिकॉज सत्यम जब उसने स्टार्ट की उसके पास कुछ भी नहीं था, एंड सत्यम के पास सब कुछ था. मैं आईटी कंपनी की बात कर रहा हूँ, वाइजे वर्षा में दूसरी कंपनी फोकस जिसको बोलूंगा टीसीएस, इन्फोसिस एंड विप्रो. अगर मैं विप्रो की बात करूं, सेम वे पे सब कंपनी अप डाउन आते हैं, पर आज विप्रो को कहा जाता है कि एथिकली सबसे अच्छी कंपनी है. क्यों? क्योंकि मैं नारायण मूर्ति जी की बात करूं, उनकी पर्सनल इंटीग्रिटी लो नहीं थी, हाई थी. वाइजे वर्षा अगर मैं बात करूं कि रामालिंगा राजू की, जो सत्यम के ओनर थे, उनकी इंटीग्रिटी लो हुई. बिकॉज अगर वो सीईओ सीएफओ कंपनी के हैं, अगर हायर पोस्ट पे प्रमोटर है कंपनी के, उनके लिए सिचुएशनल प्रेशर एंड परस्यू अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑलवेज हाई होने ही वाली है. दो द फ्रॉड स्किल ऑलवेज सेज we have to check the scale up of the personal integrity of a person. Hope you will understand this concept now. It's the same thing. If situational pressure is high, opportunity to commit is high, and personal integrity is low, there can be chance of a high fraud. If it's a low and it's even high, there can be no fraud or there will be low fraud. ABG CPR case study, which is the latest case study, friends, because at that time I would say it is a case of March 2021. बिल्कुल ताजा माल है अगर हम फ्रॉड की बात करें तो फ्रेंड्स. एंड व्हेन टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस, द 4 instances of alleged misappropriation of funds by Rishi Agarwal and other officers of ABG CPR, amount that CBI says which 28 bank lost. I'm not talking about single bank, but there was a consortium. What is meant by consortium? Means a single bank is unable or is not keen to invest or to give the more amount to a single lender or a single person who is taking the loan. Then a multiple banks come together and give or fund that amount to a client. That is called a consortium funding. And in the same way which comes into picture, is a matter of a ABG CPR case where 22,842 crores of amount was lost by 28 banks and rupees 7,089 crores was given or due to ICICI Bank. 2,925 crores was the size of SBI's exposure to ABG CPR and 8.35 lakh crores Indian Bank's NPA as of March 2021. What happened? 1,415 crores was allegedly transferred through vendors and group firms, and a round trip back to the company means a round trip A से पैसे B को गए, B से C को, C से D से, and वापस A में आ गए. There can be anything. There can be crisscross or something like that, but a round trip of money was taking place. It is a circulation of money across jurisdictions, culminating in its return to the jurisdiction of origin, usually as foreign investment. And यहाँ पे क्या हुआ था? हमने कहा ना कहीं से भी हो सकता है. So it was not from ABCD, India to Mauritius, Mauritius to Japan, Japan to India. There can be anything, but it shows even a foreign investment, friends. When we're talking about the same, ABG CPR invested, what I'm telling friends, ABG CPR invested $43.5 million, which comes to 326 crores worth of securities of ABG Singapore, according to EY, a big four, who was a consultant to them. Forensic audit, the money may have been siphoned out of this system with the way of ABG Singapore investment. ABG CPR also transferred rupees 83 crores to related firms, means they have created multiple firms. We always know what is meant by related party as per Income Tax Act and a similar acts like that. But the assets were allegedly not shown as part of the company's asset pool. Under restructuring, lenders set up a trust and retention account. The money coming into the company during the period is held in the TRA, that is trust and retention account, so the lenders can monitor its use. The SBI says for 50% of SBI ABG CPR's receipts had been outside the arrangement, a breach of the restructuring agreement. Means, let's say, normally what bank want, that any money which is circulated or routed by the any lender, means I would say a person who is getting a loan, he should have routed through the bank who has given a loan to that person. But here the other thing happens. Second case, we know now GST is not a baby and it's already a more than 5-year matured baby. I would say 5.5 years. And we always see in the newspaper and everything that there is always a GST bogus bill case study where people used to talk about fake GST bogus billing and all such stuff. So what is that, friends? Please note. What happens? 9 people have been arrested. And how? Here everything is said that this is a case of a fake bill generation, and mostly at Bhavnagar, which was a famous case of scrap billing. Afzal Sajwani, Bhavnagar generated fake bills worth 739 crores. Just think about the amount, friends. 739 crores of bill where evaded a tax of 135 crores of tax. Mina Rathore from Prantij, 577 crores, tax of 109 crores. Jahid Kabare from Bhavnagar, Natwar Giri Goswami. So there are many people you will find. Mohammad Meghani, he alleged mastermind who operated along with Sajwani, helped other traders evade tax worth rupees 135 crores. And Sabana Kaliwala, who has evaded tax of rupees 16 crores. What happens? They misuse the documents of the poor people. And this is a normal, I would say, modus operandi, how people are doing the fraud of the poor people to register firms or companies for the registration under the GST. In return, these people were provided some financial investments, means you give your documents, I'll pay you 5,000 rupees every month. Don't worry, if I'm getting a profit, I'll give you a sharing of 1% or 2%. And they obtained registration numbers in the name of whopping 121 different firms. Please imagine. 121 दूसरे firm का उसने number लिया तो क्या होगा? They issued only bills, that is invoices, without physical movement of goods and passed on false credits. Because now there was not such a mechanism in VAT, but GST specifically says the 4 golden points when an invoice is said to be a genuine invoice. And most important thing, the service or goods have been physically or have been moved in this thing. If a person is telling that mujhe tere paas se maal kharidna hai, if he is purchasing that goods, then obviously, friends, the goods should be moved to me from that person's premises. If not, then it will be converted into a fake billing. And even the tax should be paid. Both parties should be regular registered person. All the original documents of invoicing, if applicable, e-way bill, if applicable, invoice, duty channel, all should be LR, should be kept in a proper manner. If all such conditions is fulfilled, then only it is said as a proper billing. And even the return and tax should have been paid. An evasion of about 130 crores of tax credit was done by filing bogus GST bills. They further channeled the money deposited in bank account of these bogus firms to other accounts for withdrawal and to other beneficiary traders. What happens, friends? They give you a payment invoice, you make them a payment. They either withdraw the money from that account or transfer to multiple accounts and then withdraw from that. That is a way of doing a fraud. One of the famous case, I would say in the West Bengal, it was much more famous. That is a Sarda scam case study. A Ponzi scheme run by a group of 239 companies created to fool SEBI even. What was promised? People promised a 50% per annum return. Just remember a famous movie. What is Hera Fairy? Then comes a फिर Hera Fairy, where 21 दिन में पैसा double. What he was telling, 50% return in a year. And friends, please remember one thing. Please remember most important thing for you all. When a person is promising something wrong, and which is much means, I would say you are coming into greediness, or you are getting something promised from a person which is not a normal trend, then it can be a case एक मन में लालच जगता है, a greediness come into picture, and even he made a event faster, अभी करो, then you should have a red flag in your mind. Same thing, दया कुछ तो है. What happened in this case? Coming back again, friends, agents were asked to add investors via pyramid scheme on a commission of 25 to 40% deposit. Just remember, 50% return to a person who is investing in a year, and 25 to 40% of commission on deposit to the agent or a person who is bringing the investors. Means 100 रुपए के सामने 25 से 40 रुपए तो मैं डिपोजिट को दे दिया और 50% रिटर्न दे रहा हूं, यानी मेरे पास बचा कितना, ये सोचिए. आई वुड से 10 to 25% only. What was the charm? Most important thing, famous Bengali personalities from TV, sports, politics, film industry, all promoted the scheme. Even the Bengali channels ran advertisement 24/7. When talking about the same, one more famous case study like this about the Sahara scam, Subha Rao, comes into my mind. And how scam was unearthed? The scam died when the scamsters ran out of ideas to cheat investors, and the input funds became lower than the output funds. I would say slow poison for them. One of the famous case study, and which brings forensic audit actually in picture in India. There was a forensic audit, means we can say investigation at that moment of time, financial investigation, all that stuff. But the forensic audit actually comes into picture in India after this Satyam scam 2009. And I'm telling about India's biggest accounting scam of that time. What happened? The founder and chairman of Satyam Computers, B. Ramalinga Raju, it created false invoices to show inflated sales, which artificially inflated the account. Financial statement we were talking about, we are coming in that way. Please note, friends, that false invoices to show the inflated sales, which artificially, what happens, inflated the debtors part, that is receivable account, thereby inflating the company's revenue. Mr. Raju forced board of directors resolutions. We are thinking that how only Raju can do this thing, other must be involved. That can be possible, but what he did, he forced the board of directors resolutions. Mr. Raju shipped money to offshore accounts and tax havens countries and rerouted it back to India for his own use. That is money laundering. The same thing happened with ABG CPR case, if you can remember that. We have discussed before few minutes. Mr. Raju and others on the inside offloaded worthless stock and participated in insider trading. Even the statutory audits of Satyam, that is PwC India, was found guilty in that case. And at that time, the even government noticed, even the ICA noticed that Big Four can even do something wrong. And the share value, I'm coming back for Satyam, disclosed on Jan 7, 2009. It was the biggest accounting fraud amounting to rupees more than 7,000 crores. 1 crore में कितने जीरो आते हैं? 7,000 crores. 7 के पीछे 10 जीरो लगा देना, which ran almost for 14 years and gained recognition to the forensic accounting. Please note here as the profession. And Satyam share price, which was running at a height of 544 rupees. अर्थ से फर्स्ट पे गिरने तक की कहानी, जिसकी वैल्यू 544 थी, वो गिर के हो गए 11.5 rupees. And then it's a long story. We have diverted the fund there is a notice that Satyam, you just reverse the name Satyam, it comes as a metas. SATYAM, reverse is MAYTAS. So that was a company which was owned by his son, and he have shifted the whole money, mostly money, not the whole money, to that metas. And even he have invested at Bangalore and various places in the real estate with the expectation that the money will grow and the real estate will boom. And in the 2008, there was a slack period. Please note, there was, I would say, slack period in the economy around the globe. And at that time, he realized, now I have to reveal that I was doing something gimmick on that thing. You will find the chronology, friends, when the big giants of IT companies like TCS, Wipro, Infosys, they issue their financial statements on a quarterly basis. After that, only Satyam used to launch its IT statements. Why? Because he want to compare to people with their financial statements, how the thing is running or not. Moving further, another case, we were discussing here as a 7,000 crore fraud, कुछ बड़ा हो जाए. Then comes a PNB fraud case study, which is a 11,400 crore fraud. Who did this? A jeweler from Gujarat, Nirav Modi. He wants to import diamonds to design high-end collection. He has approaches PNB and asked for a letter of undertaking, LOU. Friends, please understand what is this LOU. What happens when I want to import anything from outside country means, and I say that I don't know how you will provide me proper goods or not, how I can have a faith on you. So what happened at that moment of time, that country people will say, if you don't believe that I will give you proper goods, even I do not believe that you will pay me money on time. So the business is not going to take place. At that time, a banker, a financial institution comes to help us. And what they help us, they simple do. They give a letter of undertaking, means they give a guarantee on your part to that foreign banks, telling that you tell your client that if a goods is okay and we are getting it in a satisfactory manner, I am there to give his guarantee on his part that I will pay that money to you. And in this way, LOU comes into picture. In PNB's case, LOU has been issued by the branch officials. Normally, when it's a swift transaction, a big transaction, there is a requirement of a approval of a competent authority outside. But here, there was a small branch, a branch official through Swift. Swift is a transfer of money. Let's say we're talking about RTGS, NEFT, IMPS in India, locally. When we have to shift or send money to outside India or get money from them, the Swift transactions come into picture. Without the approval of that competent authorities and the necessary documents of import, not knowing Nirav Modi or even his credit history, the overseas bank exchange credit based entirely on PNB's LOU. PNB ने प्रॉमिस करते गया, LOU देते गया कि मैं तो पैसे दूंगा. वहां पे स्विफ्ट ट्रांजैक्शन होता गया. And यहाँ पे they haven't noticed about the credit history, the loan amount, the renewal of that case. Nothing has been noticed at that part. The money was not paid by Nirav Modi, and by rolling over the credit, he had ensured that subsequent LOUs repaid the dues on the earlier LOUs. I'm talking about a new concept in this financial fraud later, which is taking place many times. Please note this word. The money was not paid by Nirav Modi. By rolling over the credit means he had ensured that subsequent LOU means a new LOU means new LOU was creating, and he was repaying the same to the old LOU, other LOUs. This scam worth rupees 14,000 crores became public on Jan 29, 2018 after whistleblowing by a PNB official. Later, BDO India was hired to carry out the forensic audit and uncover the truth of money rolling. Friends, now something comes into my mind that, Samir, what is this whistleblowing? When we are talking about a normal word, whistleblowing, whistle means city, and blowing means city bajana. ऐसा कुछ करते हैं उसको whistleblowing बोलते हैं. The same things come into picture in the corporates. When a corporate is taking anything, I would say or there is some intention of some person of taking that thing, that comes as a forensic audit. Moving further on this thing, friends, what is this forensic audit? Or now this whistleblowing? Whistleblowing means a person inside the company is having any kind of role, mostly a person who want to retaliate that thing, जिसको बदला लेना हो, जिसको insider बात बाहर बतानी हो, because कोई कंपनी दूध की धुली में नहीं होती है. Not all the promoters, all the companies doing the right thing to run a business. They need to do some good thing, or now I would say some window dressing. And again, I am going to discuss about what is meant by window dressing to you all being a students. So at that moment of time, he informs to a person who is having a right authority that this fraud is taking place, or he brings that insider news to outside world, and which shook the world. There was a window dressing in Infosys before some time. Even there is a special window dresser person, whistleblower, I would say, who used to whistleblow, and company have to pay a amount of ransom money to them, whatever they want, because this is a new profession from last decade in the world. In India, it is not that much famous, but in a globe, it is famous like anything about this whistleblowing thing. And the same thing happens that some PNB officers have whistleblowed about this fraud. Else बैंक को तो पता ही नहीं था, और पता हो तो भी हमें नहीं पता था. Friends, we have already discussed many things on this part. Let's discuss what are the types of financial fraud and which is most important thing. When we're talking about financial, what things are constituted into the financial statement? The most important things come into my mind. कि फाइनेंशियल फ्रॉड की बात कर रहे हैं, हमें पहले ये पता होना चाहिए फाइनेंशियल में क्या क्या चीज आती है. एज पर माय ओपिनियन, बिकॉज यू ऑल आर मास्टरमाइंड फ्रेंड्स, 5 things or 5 components are there of this financial statements. One is an income statement, which includes my P&L account and I would say trading account. But when we are talking about income statement as per schedules, as per company act schedules, so it's only one statement. Then comes a balance sheet. Then comes cash flow of a company, note to financial statement, which is most important, and statement of change in equity shareholder. All these 5 things constitute a financial statements. Many people says that, sir, I'm looking very properly all the financial statements. I have gone through income statement of a company, balance sheet, and it is going fantastic, sir. कुछ और नहीं देखना सर, इस पे इन्वेस्टमेंट कर दो. Then comes the most important thing, which says, just remember the movie Welcome. अभी तो हम जिंदा हैं, and that is notes to accounts and cash flow statement of a company. And at the end, it's a statement of change in financial statements. So many things are there, friends, which we have to understand and we have to solve on that part, which comes into picture. Major types of financial frauds are fraudulent financial reporting, and comes the misappropriation of assets. And even in assets, we can say in 2 parts. It can be for goods, it can be defalcation of cash. Friends, जब मैं financial statement की बात करता हूँ, let's come into the most important concept, that is called a window dressing. आप जहाँ पे भी बैठे हो, wherever you are sitting, friends, just look at the nearby wall, or some window must be there at your home. If you can link to me, please see any window nearby you. There can be some scratch, there can be some dirty area, or there can be something like that. And if someone is playing cricket or doing mischief or a musty, because today is a Sunday, that can be a holiday, and he was playing cricket with his siblings or some friend, and the window glass has been broken. And what happened? When your parents is going to come and they're going to thrash you or scold you for the same, you just put a window dressing, means you have just put down the curtain. And since that window was not much more used at that moment of time, what your parents can see, they can only see a beautiful curtain on that, and they don't know the reality. What is the reality, friends? The reality that the window is broken. The same thing happens with the financial statements, that they may be, a company may be poor, maybe a poor credit rating of a company is there, or anything it may be, but it shows a glossy picture of the statements. The same thing happens many times with people, I will say, even in their personal life. But जो चीज गलत है वो गलत है. Same thing happens over here. Once people is doing a window dressing, in long term they are going to open that thing. What are the fraudulent financial reporting? Major types of financial frauds are manipulation or falsification. Please note, manipulation है हेरा फेरी करना, falsification सब कुछ गलत ही रखना, even including forgery or alteration. Means alteration means याद करना स्कैम 1992 में उसने जीरो हटा दिया होता है. हम जब ऑल्टर कर देते हैं कोई चीज को, यानी जो चीज है उसको ही चेंज कर देना, उसको ऑल्टर करना बोलते हैं. फॉल्सिफिकेशन एक्स के बदले वाई की बात करना. मैनिपुलेशन छोटी मोटी भूल करनी या पूरा ही गलत कर देना. मेरा एक्सपेंस है, लेट्स से आई वुड से मेरा कैरेज इनवर्ड है, कैरेज इनवर्ड विल कम प्लेस इनटू माय ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट, बट व्हाट हैपेंस, इट इज शोइंग इनटू एज अ कैरेज आउटवर्ड, जो चला गया मेरा पीएनएल अकाउंट में. सर फर्क क्या पड़ा? What is the difference? Again, I am talking in English because now there are my listeners or a viewer right now across India. So let's say I have my expense, which is a carriage inward expense, which should be placed in a trading account, which is going to affect my GP, that is a gross profit or loss. But I have put the same into P&L account, profit loss account, and so it has not affected my GP or GL, affected my net profit or net loss, and so it may make some changes, and even I can say it is a misrepresentation or an intentional omission of that thing. Some notice came into the company. The company's book size is, let's say my turnover is 1,000 crores. My profit for that year is 50 crores, which is not bad. We can understand that, friends. Means 5% my net profit is there. And there was a notice from Income Tax and GST department that there is a whopping demand in Income Tax and GST grossing to rupees 150 crores. And if they're showing that thing in their books of accounts, or they're putting that thing in their notes to accounts about the same, the profit will sink from 50 crores to even minus 100 crores, because the stakeholders can interpret that in a proper manner, friends. If it happens, the company is not going to get anything proper. So what happens? They will think that I haven't received the notice on 30th or 31st of March, but have received the same on 1st or 2nd of April. That can be said as an intentional omission of that. Intentional misapplication of accounting principles. We know about the accounting standards. What are the principles of their conservatism approach, materiality concept, all the accounting standards are there. We are misapplying or molding that thing as per our requirement, which is a real fraud, friends, for that thing. What are the major types of financial frauds? Fraudulent financial reporting often involves management override of controls that otherwise may appear to be operating effectively. Fraud can be committed by management overriding controls using such technique as, please note, first is recording fictitious journal entries. What is meant by that? Means journal entry, what is placed in the company is a fictitious. हमने बात की थी अभी fake invoices की. Means they are recording the journal entries which is not actually taken place, but on a fictitious manner. It can be an increase of my sales or revenue part or my expense part. There can be anything. Second, inappropriately adjusting assumptions or changing my judgment. It is said that a person can revalue its assets if it is actually required, and once in a lifetime of that company. Even they can change their accounting principles or system once only in a lifetime. But as per their requirement, they used to value the stock of the company, revalue the assets of the company many multiple times. Means they're inappropriately adjusting or assumptions, changing judgments. They are omitting or advancing or delaying recognition of the transaction. I have discussed you about the recognition of the notice from department. They have delaying that. And if they think that that case is going to be in their favor, they will note that thing. Even the case decision judgment come on 2nd of April, but they will mention the same in their financial statement. It is going to rocket the save price or something like that, or they will omit something important in that, or concealing or not disclosing its fact. Means, let's say there was some important facts was there, they are hiding that thing. They were not informing to public on that part. I would say it can be related with the PNB fraud, Satyam fraud, and many more friends. Engaging in complex transactions, people can understand that a simple transactions can be carried out, but since he is doing the wrong thing, he will what he will do, he will engage in some complex transactions with people. They are altering their records. जो चीज वो दिखाएंगे नहीं, कुछ नया ही दिखाएंगे, because they are the management can do this thing. And who can do this? Remember fraud diamond, a person who have capability to do this. Not a junior accountant, but a senior accountant can do. Let's discuss few major types of financial frauds. Let's say Vinit is a manager in ZX Limited. The name of the company is just an assumption. It's coincident if any company name is matching with my example. Don't take in a personal level, please. He's having authority to sign checks up to rupees 10,000. Means my example was of 1,000 in, I would say, fraud diamond, but here it is an example that he's having the authority to sign check of 10,000. While performing the audit, Rajan, the auditor, noticed that there were many checks of amounting to 9,999, which has been signed by Vinit. And further, Vinit had split large payment, amount to 10,000 each into 2 or more check less than 10,000 that he may authorize the payments. This raised suspicions in the auditor's mind, and there are many techniques to detect that thing. The auditor even found that the checks of rupees 9,999 were deposited. Please note, friends, in Vinit's personal account or their family accounts. That is, Vinit has misappropriated the amount. Splitting the checks into lower amounts involves manipulation of amount accounts even. The fraud was committed by an employee, and how it was being carried out and how it was noticed by the department management because of maker and checker concept. Friends, there was some provision in income tax which is said as section 40A3, that if you're making a payment to a single person in a single day more than rupees 10,000, it is disallowed. Can we relate that thing with this thing? And many clients, or I would say many businessmen, are doing this thing by splitting their payment to 2 parts on different days. Just a food for thought, nothing more than that. Then comes, sorry. Then comes the misappropriation of assets, which is embezzling the receipts. Means the receipts which we are getting, we are now embezzling that thing. Maybe now we are dealing that thing, the receipt, we are not showing to a proper person, to proper books of accounts. Friends, all these things you are going to find when you are going for a stock audit for a client. And even a banker are playing very smartly. How? When we are going within one, after, I would say properly, after 50 days, many people are going to visit as a statutory auditor or a branch auditor of a bank, जहाँ पे bank audit का समय होगा. And you will find that many branch managers are doing, if they have some targets and they think that many of clients' account is going to be NPA, what they are doing? They will sanction loan. They will sanction loan for the client, and they will sanction a loan for the client. And in the same way, they even with this loan, means sanctioning of the loan, they will disperse to some other. बोले तो सर समझा नहीं. Let's say client का account अगर NPA ना, if the account of the client is going to be NPA in long run, what they are going to do in a simple manner, they will sanction, let's say 50 lakh rupees to a client in a new account, and from that account they will transfer the money to that account which is going to be NPA. What happens with this thing? You will find that now even an advance of the bank has increased, and even there was not NPA for any bank. Other thing, they want to increase their advance and their asset both. What they will say to client, sir एक काम कीजिए, आपको मैं 1 crore की लोन दे रहा हूं, I am sanctioning a loan of 1 crore, I have disbursed in your personal account, and you make a FD of 90 lakhs with that. What happens? Overdraft facility, but both the value of the assets have been increased, the liability of bank has been increased, but it's a window dressing for the client, and even that can be said as a financial fraud. There are many more we can discuss, but with the paucity of times, I have to be very much, I would say, effective with the management of a time with you all friends. Stealing physical assets or intellectual property. Many people say, sir, what is the value of intellectual property? Always give an example of Coca-Cola, where the 90% of its value is a goodwill of that company and the secret formula, causing the entity to pay for the services not received by it. Most important, we are paying for the service we have not received that same. Can we relate this thing with the ghost employee for a company? When we're talking about the HR division, using entities assets for personal purpose. आपको ये चीज बहुत बार मिलेगी. हमारे आर्टिकल, हमारे एम्प्लॉय, और जब हम छोटे थे, I would say when we were young, at that time we were using the office system for checking our social media platforms. We have to take out a print of something. Sir is not looking here by nearby. He's not there by nearby, and let's have a printout. सब निकालते, मैं भी निकाल रहा हूँ. What is that? Rationalization say there can be anything, friends. Now coming about defalcation of cash, means inflating a cash payment. The payment which I am doing, we are doing inflating. Let's say if some client has some issue of having a high amount of profit, what we are doing? Sir, कुछ चिंता नहीं है. Even sometimes the article intent of a paid staff giver, because never the intention of a CA in this thing, and even not intention of any person, but sometimes they used to say our paid employees, or even a client used to say, sir, my profit is getting increased. Don't worry, sir. खर्चे बता दो कुछ भी. You show any expense. You show that I am giving a name of 5%, inflate that cash payments. That is a defalcation of cash. My suppressing my cash assets means I am decreasing my income and casting wrong totals in cash book. Actual total of my cash book will be 5 lakh rupees, but I'm showing it only as 3 lakh rupees, or showing it as a 7 lakh rupees. So even that is a wrong thing, friends. So all this stuff comes into defalcation of cash. We have discussed in a very good manner, friends. Now the another major type of financial frauds is a teaming and leading, which is called famous as a TL. Friends, please remember we have discussed about the case study of what? We have discussed just a case study of PNB, of Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi, where we have find that the newer LOU has been issued and it was used to repay the earlier LOU. The same thing happens over here. What happens? Amount received from a customer being misappropriated, also to prevent its detection. Let's say X person is there. He have used the fund received from some customer and not given to the promoter and the management of the company. So what he used to do, let's say he have used 1 lakh rupees of a company for his personal use, and he don't have that money to repay the same. So what he used to do, that 1 lakh rupees, instead of paying to the company, when a payment of a customer is coming, he is showing to the earlier customer whose money he has used the same, and not showing this customer's payment. You will find in a more examples. Also to prevent deduction, the money received from another customer subsequently being credited to the account of the customer who has paid earlier. Similarly happens when money received from the customer who has paid thereafter being credited to the account of the second customer, and such a practice is continued so that no one account is outstanding for payment for any length of time. Let's say company has a rules that if a payment is not issued within 90 days, we have to issue notice to a customer, and customer is making me a payment within 75 days, but I have used some money. So what I will do, जब X का पैसा आया मैंने यूज किया, Y को X में डालूंगा, Z को Y में डालूंगा, किसी का मैं overdue नहीं दिखाऊंगा, and I'm using the money of the company, which may lead the management to either send out a statement of account to him or communicate with him. You can see over here transaction 1 about teaming and leading, amount collected from customer A of let's say NPR 100, no recording of the transaction, misappropriate cash of NPR of 100, amount collected of same amount of rupees 100 from customer B, but it has been recorded as a collection from customer A instead of a B because A money was as a misappropriate cash, उसके खुद के पॉकेट में रुपए गए थे from that part, and no recording of collection from B. Friends, if such session is a live session, I'm going to ask you many questions and it will be a different way and you all will enjoy, I'm sure, on that part even. Major types of financial frauds, there are 3 types which we have discussed. That is a fraudulent financial reporting and misappropriation of assets. Same thing comes into picture as a fraud triangle, incentives, oppressors, opportunities, attitude or rationalization is there, or incentives, oppressors, opportunities, and attitude or rationalization is there. Now, what are the fraud components? We're talking about forensic audit. It mainly focuses on the fraud detection. You'll find over here law, police, investigation, and comes a picture of a fraud which is written in the red color. So it was a very important to understand fraud before we understand about the forensic audit. What are the fraud components in forensic audit? As per a recent study by SOCAM and Grant Thornton, the most vulnerable sectors to fraud in India are most important. It's just a case study taken from somewhere. Real estate and infrastructure constitute 52%. Financial services comes to 34%. Telecom 5%. Manufacturing 3%. Electronic and ITS is 2%. And hospitality and tourism is 2%. And others are 2%. So, as per study by Ashok and Grant Thornton, most prone area to fraud is real estate and infrastructure and financial services. And I always used to talk about Pareto analysis theorem, which says that there is always a part or ratio of 80-20 analysis, which is famously known as 80-20 ratio. You will find out of all industries, there are 2 industries which constitutes more than 80% of the fraud than others. Sir, बहुत सारी बात हो गई. You have discussed many things and already time is nearby 12. Sir, a question comes into my mind. So what is forensic audit? Yeah, very good questions, friends. Let's divide 2 other things. One is a forensic, second is audit. Audit, just if you can write in a chat box or something like that, in a comment box, or just remember, ask yourself, so what is meant by audit? When we're talking about audit, most important comes into picture is what? Anything that we are verifying, we are checking, or we are supervising the same, and its result is, I would say, delivered or not, conclusion is informed to the person who have allotted me that thing. People who can do this forensic audit, audit can be done by anyone. On a statutory audit is a prerogative of our chartered accountants. There are multiple types of audit which can be done by anyone. So now what is this forensic? Forensic is a kind of investigation. Please note, it's an examination, evaluation of records by some individual or a group of individuals, and which can be used in the court of law. जब court of law की बात आएगी, तो forensic हमें याद आएगा. Let's see. Forensic audit is an examination and evaluation of individuals or a company's financial information for use as evidence in court of law. F and A मैंने क्यों यहाँ पे आपको डिटेल में रखा, आप अंडरस्टैंड कर सकते हो फ्रेंड्स, and you will find that a forensic audit is therefore an independent and comprehensive process of reviewing a person's or the company's financial statements to determine whether they are accurate or there is some window dressing, manipulation, or some falsification in the same. Again, It is an independent and comprehensive process. हम जब statutory audit करते, there's a limitation in that thing. But when we are taking or conducting a forensic audit, there is no limitation. We can even say it can be kind of an investigation. What are the methodology for that? It involves efforts to resolve allegations or signs of fraud when the full facts are unknown or unclear. Therefore, it seeks to obtain facts and evidence to help establish what happened, identify the responsible party, and provide recommendations where applicable. So we can use this forensic audit in 3 levels. We are talking about the detective frauds. Even we can use as a corrective method and even a preventive method. अगर हमने क्लाइंट को बोला कि सर आपके यहाँ पे मुझे लगता है I feel that in your company the chance of having a fraud, let me set up a system for you which will help to have a preventive measures for that and even detective measures for that. So there is no any need for corrective measures in the future. And the fraud chances and the manipulation chances in your company reduce to 2% or 1% because it can only be mitigated. It cannot be eliminated. So if such things happens, because friends, what I believe, talking about small CA firm and even small clients, that no any client is happy to give an audit fees to a CA. Nowadays the scene is that, and even I feel that even government is not happy to ask small clients or small businessmen to get their books of accounts audited. And so this gap, enhancement of this gap have started. And when such a gap has started, it is really, I would say, issue or a problem for our fraternity even. And even the conventional practice is not going to be that much, I would say, lucrative after 5 years. Just leave after 5 years. Just think what was the practice our seniors used to do, or we used to do if we are of that period before 10 years. I know, being a student, you will see that. So some of the 6th, 7th, 8th में थे, हम लोग को क्यों बता रहे हो? But you can ask your principals, you can ask your parents if they are into the same profession or something like that, that there was a different arena of that period. But you are witnessing already the real impact of government norms, and even I would say what are the new areas, what are the new methods. People say that in CA there is a lack of opportunities because audit have been reduced. Before 2 days we were at Gift City and the CEO of a IFC, he was IAS, and Indrajit sir, he simply says, Gift City is a gift to the world and Gift City to India itself. And there lies an ocean of opportunities at various platforms like Gift City, startups, forensic, cyber security, cyber awareness, content writing, I would say, and many more things, friends. And if you're doing it in a proper manner, you're going to enjoy that. And it's coming back to this thing. It involves efforts to resolve allegations or sign of fraud when the full facts are unknown or unclear. जहाँ पे कोई मुझे fact पता नहीं है क्या हुआ होगा कुछ भी है, then again a ACP Pradyuman comes and says, Daya, कुछ तो है. Please note that. And therefore it seeks to obtain facts and evidence to help establish what happened. Please note what it seeks to obtain facts and evidence to help establish what happened, identify the responsible party, and provide recommendations where applicable. We should adopt such methods which enable us to find supportive evidence for our audit findings. And when you're doing a forensic audit, friend, it should not be a single view. You should have a multiple angle thinking. Here's a methodology, one of the basic methodology. That is, I would say, when conducting a forensic audit to resolve signs or allegations of fraud, the forensic auditor should assume that litigation is going to follow, means litigation will follow, because forensic means the evidence can be present in the court of law. So if litigation is going to follow, he should act on prediction. जो दिखता है वो होता नहीं, जो होता है वो दिखता नहीं, वो पता होना चाहिए. You will see a person who is standing over here. He is a person just like us, who is a forensic auditor. He can see the transactions, a very simple transaction has taken place, but he is looking with some multiple angles. You can see over here, friends. Hope I am correct with this. Approach cases from two different perspectives or many perspectives, I would say. Move from the general to the specific. Means if I'm having a data dump, and from that I used to have a data analytics, apply various Excel formulas, using of various softwares and applications. I'm coming to some specific. Use the fraud theory approach. We already discussed few of them. Analyzing and testing of data and communicating results to the people. Forensic audit broad methods and procedures. What we can do. Data analysis, analytical procedures, risk assessment. Again, I'm telling friends, data analysis, which can be done by Power BI, by many other analytical procedures. Access one of the, I would say, core thing in using that things. Even we are getting many more softwares for this thing now. Analytical procedures, risk assessment, inspection. Most important thing, we have to assess the risk. Let's say I have went to the audit and client says, I think, sir, my cash balance is getting reduced. I'm unable to reconcile my cash balance. And first of all, I have to analyze the procedures. I have to see in which period there is some fraud. If let's say he's telling that now fraud has taken place as per his assumption before 2 years, and I'm looking in the books of accounts of this year, being a normal auditor, it is not going to solve the purpose. And even if I have created my analytical procedure with that thing, and I have to assess the risk, कि कहाँ पे risk हो सकता है. I am discussing about the cash manipulations and talking to a person of an IT guy who is looking at information technology of my company or my HR guy only. Whether it is going to solve the purpose? No. So you have to assess the risk in which area, in which employee, in which proper way there can be risk part is there. There can be an inspection of things, and we can inspect to people whether there can be a fraud or not, and for using our methods and procedures for doing a forensic audit. We have to do further. We are talking about the same. There will be a observation. कुछ नहीं करना आपको दोस्तों. You have to do nothing. Just sit and do the observations of a client. Nothing more than that. The people who are proceeding with the cash and all such stuff, check the SOP of a company or prepare a SOP of by your own and check that. When you are checking things, you will come to know that you will realize how the process is taking place, whether it is as per the norms or not. Then comes external confirmation. Many times when you are taking external confirmations from a people, you will find that there is some manipulation. Let me tell you a small case study that a company is doing a fantastic thing. They have a full faith on their person who is making a payment and all such stuff. And they used to check that thing. They used to have a session in that manner, friends, and everything was going glossy in a company. Once an Surfira auditor like me came, and he said that for the maximum amount, means a 80% transaction amount, we have to make external confirmation to the client. And when we asked for the confirmation, it came that there was not a proper reconciliation among the amount outstanding. And we have gone through the same. There's a difference of 30 lakh rupees. Means two bills were not booked in the books of accounts. And so there was extra because of that thing. And when came to know about the same, or when we went into a detailed procedure, it came to know that the goods came into the premises, but it was moved to some other party. And since the owner should not come to that thing, should not note on this part, the accountant have not booked the same in the books of accounts. And he knows that after 2 months, the promoter is going outside India, and he will have that authority to sign the checks and even all the stuff and even booking a purchase. At that time, he will book that bill, and he have even the seller was not knowing this thing, and even the promoter was not knowing thing, and such a thing happens many times, friends. Please note. Then comes a recalculation, which is one of the most important thing, friends. When we're recalculating the figures, recalculating things, the assets, and anything like that, we come to know that they can be fraud in that part. Even you can have a vertical analysis of that, where procedure analytical methods here, or horizontal analysis can be done, which is going to help on that part. Reperformance. If you're reperforming the same thing which was happened earlier, you'll come to know that yes, there can be a issue, or the something has been missed out by them, or they're ignoring the same thing or leaving the same something intentionally. There can be procedure. If you're making an inquiry with the people nearby, and the bank is doing the same thing, friends, if you can remember, if you're asking for some kind of loan, they are having a third party inspection or due diligence, I would say, where they go nearby your home or your business, and they will ask the person nearby to you and inquire whether how his business is going, whether he's coming over here or not on a regular basis, and all such stuff. And all these things or procedure is coming place on that part, friends. Then comes interview, and the most important thing in interview is what we can say in interview. The most important thing, friends, is you are talking with the person or discussing with the person who is going to show you all the stuffs. And friends, it's a really a most important thing when we are talking about interview of a person, because you are going to ask him a multiple questions or multiple things, and he's going to reply. There can be some error when we're talking on that part, and when taking an interview in a very proper manner. And interview should be in a proper manner. Interview should not be like that. Just remember the movie. Again, I'm coming, Malamal Weekly. Anthony, a lottery winning movie where there was a Ritesh Deshmukh, even a Paresh Rawal, and many more comedian was there. And Paresh Rawal went to take population inquiry, I would say, जिसको हम बोलते हैं गन ये जनता कितनी है और what is the population of the country. For that he went for an interview and asked a lady, शादी हो गई? She says no. Then again a second question he comes, there comes, बच्चे कितने हैं? And he get a fantastic slap at that time on his cheek. Then he was shocked. Why this? Then Asrani guide him. अरे भाई ऐसे नहीं समझाते. You have to ask first, बच्चे कितने हैं? And if it comes in a positive manner, you ask, शादी हो गई? He went over there and asked a lady again, बच्चे कितने? She said 2 or 3. Then asked, शादी हो गई? Again he get a slap on other chin. And so when you are taking an interview, your questions should be proper, just like this person who is making a tick in a very proper manner. It is going to be a havoc for an interviewer who is taking this interview, because it's really a very important thing when taking an interview of a person, because perpetrator is already a smart person. He knows if you're coming there, what you can do. Friends, how many of you did a surprise audit or a mystery audit for any of your principal or any of your client? What happens? Let me discuss with you a small incident. When we're talking about this thing, interview and all the stuff and forensic audit, we went. Where we went, friends? We went for a client, and they have appointed me. It is a listed company. It's a talk of before a decade, I would say, when I was in an articleship. We went to a client for doing a mystery audit. Company has issued me an authority letter. I went to its third-party vendor who is manufacturing on the company behalf. When I went over there, the security guard was not proper. There was some uncle aged, some 60 years of age. He was just a chill out personality, not having any cap, his shirt was out and sitting over there. And even at that time, even we were looking as a kid only, and even I am looking as a kid, even today, I would say, just for a fun. And at that moment of time, when I went over there, he asked, "Kaun ho tum? Who are you? Why you're here? Just go over here." I was just standing for 15 minutes looking at what is taking place, means I can say observation I was doing. For a client, I was looking at what happens. He came to me again. "What are you looking at? Just go away from here." Then simply I say, "Sir, this is a letter. Just you go inside, show to your promoter, and come back in 2 minutes." He went inside with that letter because he was unable to read that English language. I expect that. He came back after 5 minutes with a proper dress up, insert with a belt, a cap on his head, and even the promoter come out rushing. "Oh, you are from that company, our owner. Please come, please come." The whole mystery audit took place for one whole day, and we found that there was some mismanagement by that owner for more than 50 lakh rupees. And it happens, friends. And the last and the most important thing is an interrogation. How we are doing an interrogation with the client. And when we are talking about interrogation, it's not a normal interview. It's a kind of investigation. There's a difference between interview and interrogation. If you have watched, again coming on a little movie, that is Drishyam Part 2, the officer Akshay Khanna took the whole family to his police station and start interrogating and start to kick his daughter, and she got some attack, and he says nothing can be happened. You tell me the proper reason, else I'm going to kill your daughter. And means the seriousness, the procedure is quite stiff in interrogation than an interview, please note. Again, enrolling all these things: data analysis, analytical procedures, risk assessment, inspection, observation, action and confirmation, recalculation, reperformance, interview, inquiry, and interrogation. So you have to notice all these points when looking at forensic audit, and even the financial statements fraud will be less. Moving quite fast, friends, because time is less. There are few important fraud techniques. Maybe if I'm getting a time in future, I'm going to discuss much more on that part. You have to check about the trend analysis, how you can find that thing, careful review of the historical norms, and investigating the trend deviations. Please note, अगर कोई company एक ही तरह का business करती है ना, their gross margin will be normally same, and they say specified all the margins in the industries in the normal terms. It can deviate for 5 to 10%, not more than that. So typical trend lines for analysis of financial statements are for revenues, gross margin, net profit margin, amount receivable, and debt. When you are plotting that thing in one paper or in some Excel sheet, you will find the deviation on that thing, and it is going to help you. Second is the most important thing is the ratio analysis. Let's say I say इस बंदे ने 20 लाख का फ्रॉड किया है. वो 20 lakh amount is really high, but the company's revenue was 1 lakh crores. Now you will find that 20 lakh is a small amount in that 1 lakh crores. Hope you are getting me. उस बंदे ने फ्रॉड किया 20,000 रुपए का. What is there in this 20,000 rupees? But the turnover of company was 1 lakh rupees only. Oh, 20%. So the ratio plays a very vital role when talking about the same friends. And ratio is a relative magnitude of two selected numerical values taken from an enterprise financial statements. Most relevant ratio analysis are gross margin and sales growth. Hope you are with me, friends. Price to book and price earning ratios, that is PB upon BE ratio. Return on assets, ROA upon ROE, that is return on assets upon return on equity. Current ratio, most important. What are the normal trends of a current ratio? That is 2:1. If you're going to take a loan from a bank, they even agreed about 1.33:1. and quality of earning and effective cash tax rate. So these 5 ratios is the most important. Yes, we even applies many other, but these 5 are the most. What are they? Gross margin sales growth, price to book and price earning, return on assets and return on equity, current ratio, and quality of earning and effective cash tax rate. Few of the analytical procedures are test of reasonableness. हम बोलते हैं कानून अंधा होता है, बट वो हमेशा जो भी डिसीजन देता है वो बहुत सही देता है. In the same way, the analytical procedures is there. You can see in the back that there is some, I would say, weight machine is there who is weighing something, and test of reasonableness is effective on that way. Identify the questionable transactions indicating wide fluctuations from the normal ones in general or related to main objective. If there is a deviation in that thing, there will be a red flag for you, and you have to say, "Daya, kuch to hai." Review questionable transaction documents for peculiarities like improper account, its classifications, pricing, invoicing, or claim, etc. Friend, I went to a client for having this forensic analysis for some client in a preventive method, not a detective method. Means I was setting up their business, their procedure. I have asked the purchase manager, "You are doing a purchase thing?" "Yes, sir, from last 5 years." Ask him, "What is the procedure you follow when you need to buy something?" He says, "Sir, Harik ka 3 quotation. I ask for 3 quotations from all the vendors every time. It takes me time and all such stuff, blah, blah, blah." And company was thinking to remove him or to hire someone new because he takes a lot of time. I asked him, "Just give me a list of your product and services. When you are going to purchase that thing, what is the quantum? What is the quantum of purchasing of that goods, or what is the amount of that? Further, as per your experience and even as per data, how many times the value has been changed, and from how many times or how long the single vendor have not been changed, and if it is not changed, you have asked quotation from other vendors." Only with from these 3 to 5 questions, the owner came, what is the real picture in the company, and even the purchase head says, "Sir, I can realize my mistake. I will not do it again." All the proper things is going to happen. So you have to have a test of reasonableness and a proper analytical procedures when you are looking on that part. If you want to give such a service to a client, why to say we are doing a forensic audit for you? So data analytics, my company did a data analytics for some client who was in forex industry, a listed company, where they got a notice from ED and they want to check their data analytical procedures and see whether the data what they are punching, because in a forex business they have to realize and analysis a proper on that thing. But that time it has been noticed that there was a specific checklist was there, specific requirement from RBI to provide this much of data. Analysis the data, it comes that 40% of that branch data was not proper. And so a fraud took place at that time. So you can provide a various things to the clients. Most important thing is a off-balance transactions. There are certain transactions that is a not prima facie discussed in the financial statement and not suitable disclosures made, since these are intangible in financial statement. And this may encompass significant purchase or sale of raw materials or finished goods with only a particular dealer or group companies. Few of the key examples of analytical procedures, friends, are falling of stock prices on market. Remember Reliance Capital, Reliance Communication, this Satyam shares. There was a company called Manpasan Beverage, Kusal Limited. Let me tell you a case study of a Manpasan Beverage. This is a company based on Baroda, and the famous product was there of this company. You all remember that, which is a mango sip. Just like a Fruity and Maaza, there was some product which is called as a beverage drink that is called a mango sip. Many have drink that even possible. And he was preparing different kinds of beverages and other things. And company's name was Manpasan Beverage. I was found out that company because even my client was working with that company and selling only a packing material of more than 50 lakhs in a year. And he was one of the vendor with them. When the company came, I have reviewed the balance sheet of a company. It was a debt-free company and doing a fantastic way of business. Even opened an offshore business and all such stuff. There was some GST raid or search in that company. It came that company is not doing all things in a proper manner, and the promoter ran away of that thing. Even it comes into IBC, that is insolvency. And the company shares which was running more than 500 rupees came to 3 or 4 rupees or some 10 rupees. So if there is a falling of stock prices in a market of that company or some company, and there is a short selling activity of the company, there can be something ki daya kuch to hai. There can be resignation of the senior person of the company for personal reasons, other diplomatic reasons. Some senior personnel of HDFC group resigned from the company by giving some personal reasons or some diplomatic reasons, not a proper reasons, and it was a genuine reason for them. But the HDFC shares have been plummeted on that part. ICICI forced Chanda Kochar initially to give resign, being a CEO of that bank, because they know that if she must be a CEO at that time when the fraud comes into picture and comes into the eyes of the public, the shares will fall like anything. Shares value even fall down at that time, even friends. Selling of large number of shares by promoters, company officers, and major trading house to the effect of insiders' information and trading. Using complicated disclosure, please note friends, and accounting practices to make name and novice investors fold into believing the statements. Audit fees are far less in comparison to other management legal fees paid to auditors and heavy raw materials transported in lorries or small vehicles. Investigation by improper related party. What is meant by related party, friends? When talking about a related party, means a person who are associated to us. It will be my blood relations, company in which directors are closely holding their authorities, their relatives are holding the authorities. They are into control of that. Ratan Tata ji is not at all director in all the companies nowadays. He is not the CEO or MD of that company. Other people are there. But since Tata Trust is holding a major stake in all these companies, and even all the points and all the decision of Tata ji is binding in all the companies, he will be said as a related party. Hope you can understand the basic example, and we don't have any doubts in the ethics, in the work, in the integrity of Ratan Tata ji. I bow him for that thing. So what happens, friends? The example was just for giving you a basic knowledge of that. Related party transactions occurs in the scope of corruption and commission, where one party obtains unjust benefit from performing the transactions. Please note, friends, why related party? Just think, अगर आपके ऑफिस में आपका कोई दोस्त काम कर रहा है, उसके आप कुछ भी हेल्प करोगे, तो आपके अगर पास वाली ऑफिस में जिसको आप नहीं जानते, उससे अगर आप डील करोगे, you are not going to manipulate anything in a proper manner. Means easy fraud or easy manipulation can be done with the related party other than the other party. And this type of work is done when transactions are not performed or to a fact that ought to be done to the best interest of the shareholders and are performed to the benefit of the management. Examples are purchase of major raw materials from one party or single group of companies, sale or purchase to a party are higher than the arm's length prices, accounts receivables is pending from long term and no strict measures taken by the management for its recovery, repetitive purchase of one company stock even if prices are declining, vertical analysis is there, occur of same firm across times. Moving now faster, friends, since we have only 5 minutes left. Horizontal analysis is there, where it helps to find the significant deviation to the trend of accounts of financial statements. Data analysis technique with the help of MS Excels, where we can prepare making statements, charts, etc., which is going to help us. If function can be helpful and or can be useful for detecting gaps, finding duplicates, locating multiple records, flagging the records, aging analysis, advanced analysis, extracting records, meeting certain criteria, count if can be possibly used on that part. Some may function, we are using a sum function, but if it is combined with if, it is make a miracle, I would say, friends. VLOOKUP function we are using many times. It is going to help. It can be useful to verify the rates billed with standard rate card prices, to confirm proper application of interest rate charged for bank advances, whether all dispatches are billed or vice versa. Even you can use it as a HLOOKUP instead of VLOOKUP. Raj is the auditor of XYZ Limited. It is analyzing the financial statement of the company by studying the significant ratios we have discussed on. Some of the ratios that he studied were the gross profit ratio and the net profit ratio. The gross profit ratio for the current year 1920 is 19%, and for the previous year 1819 was 25%. Similarly, net profit ratio for the current year is 7%, but in the previous year it was 1890 was 11%. You can find the difference. 19 से 25 से 19 हो गया, and from 11 it came to 7%. There's a large variation in the GP ratio and the net profit ratio over the 2 years. Hence, the auditor has the reason to believe that there may be something unusual. He will consider the results of such analytical procedures while drawing up his audit plan and allot more time to studying purchases. Friends, when such thing happens, there's not always a chance that there may be a commitment of a fraud only. There can be some situational is there. Talking about 1920, 1890, let's say it is of 2021 and 1920. And so COVID comes into picture. There was a lockdown. There was an uncertainty. Even the business was down, and even the fixed expense was continued. There can be chance of that. Even the prices have increased, but company was unable to increase the sale price, but the purchase price have increased. There can be such situation can happen on that part. So we cannot define that thing in a proper manner. Few things at the end we can discuss. Let's say there is an omission to post a part of a journal entry to the ledger. Trial balance is thrown out of the agreement then. Wrong totaling of the purchase ratio. Control account can be helpful. Example, the sundry dates, payable account, balance, and the aggregate of the balance in the percentage will disagree at that part. We can put a control point on this thing. A failure to record in the cash book amounts paid into a withdrawn from the bank. Please note most important thing. If I am withdrawing some money or depositing some money to cash book, we are not recording that thing in a proper manner. Bank reconciliation statement will show up this error. A mistake in recording amount received from X in the account of Y. Means there's a mistake in recording the amount received from X and it has been recorded in Y. Statements of accounts of party will reveal the mistake and we can ask a confirmation. Friends, what you can do, if there's a big business, you can ask your client to have a confirmation on a quarterly basis or a half-yearly basis for the big accounts where the transaction is more or the outstanding is more. And if there is only a opening and closing balance of a client, sorry. If there is only a opening and closing balance of a client and no any transaction has taken place, it's a matter of seriousness. You can ask your client to take a confirmation, or they can be ghost vendors or ghost customer in your books of accounts, which transaction has been settled in cash or some other way, or cashier have settled some other things, and it is not shown in books of accounts in a proper manner. Conclusion, in a simple way, friends, in the times of increasing frauds, it is important to keep utmost care while analyzing or using the financial statements. And financial statements is the heart of any business, friends. Please note, it can send you to the cloud and can even bring to you, I would say, in the land. To curb financial frauds, RBI has made forensic audit and even an ASA mandatory for certain large borrowers. ICI, our alma mater, has also issued FIS, that is Forensic Investigation in Accounting Standards, which are 24 in numbers, to guide members in this regard. So friends, you will find that there are many more things which is going to help, and even the future is very much bright of this forensic audit. You cannot give this service to client by telling only a forensic audit. You can use the word due diligence. You can use the word data analytics. You can say as a management consultancy. as a system setup, there can be multiple things on that part. And yes, even government expects such a things from us. अगर आप किसी का सिर्फ स्ट्रेचर रीड करोगे ना, आपको लाख 2 लाख रुपए मिल सकते हैं. बट इफ यू विल टेल कि आपका प्रॉफिट बढ़ा के दूंगा, आपका सिस्टम सेटअप करके दूंगा, यू कैन अर्न 5 to 10x in that thing, and even your risk will be very much less. So just decide what you can do on that part. And nonetheless, I'm always available, friends. You can even subscribe my YouTube channel if you want. Fintech Chanakya is the name, where you will get updates on finance, taxation, cyber security, and forensic audit. There are various live sessions are there in that part. My firm name, we have our office at various places. My contact details, I'm always available. If I'm unable to pick up the call, you can connect me, and you can connect on WhatsApp on my various social media platforms and all that stuff. And since Keval, it's already near to 12:40. The floor is yours. I have completed in due time. Thank you.
Yeah, sir, thank you so much. So I must say that it has been a beautiful morning for all the students who has been present across the India to learn from you on this very interesting topic of financial statements fraud. And quite a lot of students has asked some interesting questions, which I would like to ask on behalf of them one by one. So taking the first question, so a student has asked that whether teaming and lending can happen in cash only. And one another question he has asked is ASM is a regulator or an employee of the bank, because you are a part of that ASM team. So
Yes,
I
yes,
think
yes.
only you could answer that.
Yes, sure, Keval. Thanks for asking. First, let's understand what is teaming and lending. It is a money which we are receiving. We are, instead of A, we are putting in the B. Instead of B, we are putting into C. So that is a normal trend which can be done in cash only. Even in bank or check, it can be possible. Someone party is giving the account, instead of an account pay check, they are putting a name blank. Sir, आपको जो नाम भरना भर देना. You can put any name in that thing. Don't worry. They give you a payment on a lump sum basis. And that even in bank, even the teaming and lending can be possible. Even sometimes in stock, that can be possible, but in a very meager way, I would say. Talking about ASM, it is regulator is a Indian Bank Association. Means the multiple banks are there who is looking on that part. Means Indian Bank Association who is managing all the banks. It is the authority who is empaneling the consultants and a CM for doing ASM with that thing. Right now in this year, more than 600, 700 ASM is empaneled with the banks, which is a gray area in future. Obviously, getting work is not an easy thing because of the expense of other senior people and all these things. But yes, if agar chaha hai to raha hai, we will get something even in future, and it is a really good area in future.
Absolutely. I hope all the students who would become chartered accountants in future would try to learn from you how to get to that position of ASM.
Yes, always available for that thing, not an issue.
Yeah. So another question is a student from Jaipur. He has asked that whether Sahara is the biggest scam of our country, or there are any other important scams they wanted to study.
There are many more scam are there, not only Sahara. Yes, Sahara is one of the biggest scam, I would say, not the only scam in the country. Sahara work out in the same way that the money is invested in the deposit scheme, and they are giving a good amount or handsome amount of revenue on that part. The same way, but it is one of the biggest, not the only biggest. And as the time passes, Keval, you will find the quantum of fraud is getting increased.
True.
Because in the 2009 when we were discussing about the Satyam, people thought this is the biggest scam. इससे बड़ा scam हो ही नहीं सकता है. But then PNB come into picture. अभी हम जिंदा है. You will find about this ABG CPR. Even it is now far more bigger. And just wait for some movie. I was reading an article in Money Control where the whistleblower of ICICI Bank who bring the picture of the Chanda Kochar case, he said that Chanda Kochar is only a scapegoat and only a few person who came into picture. There is a list of people which is going to come out in future also. So we don't know. That's the thing.
So you mean to say just like the sequel of Drishyam is coming, the quantum of frauds would also keep on increasing?
Yes, because the economy is increasing. by leap and bound. The technology is increasing, so everything is going to happen. If I'm talking about the bank, there was a single banking was there. Then comes a centralized banking, CBS was came. Just think if from the head office in technology, there is an error that bank is charging 1% less from the person to whom it given a loan, only 1%. In the book size of a bank, there will be lakhs of customers, and funding amount, let's say, is a 5,000 crores. 1% 5,000 crores comes to 50 crores of amount. And even there will not be a single advanced bank. Many banks will be having an advance less than 50 crores. So in a technology driven area, in a fintech area, talking about startup and all these things, the fraud will be much more bigger in long term.
Absolutely.
That's my view, personal opinion.
Yeah. So another question asked is, what is data analytics and how to do that as a forensic auditor?
Great. I have discussed at the end of my slides about the data analysis. You will have a dump of data with you, but from general to come to a specific, you need a specific analysis for that. Let's say my principal was always telling me when I was doing an audit of some clients, and I take a considerable time because at that time there was an era of checking with the manually. We were taking a pen with us, we are looking at the ledger of the clients, and we are putting a tick and all these things. You always say, ki, Samir, if you're getting a data of some Tata, Adani, or Ambani, you'll take the whole year in the same one purchase ledger only. And even the same thing happens with us when we're going for a statutory audit of a bank. We have a limited time of 7 days to 10 days to complete that audit. You cannot check all the files and what is there inside that. So at that moment of time, there is an importance of a data analysis. You are taking a dump of a data with you, where analysis and a different benchmark or a different control, and you are coming from general to specific on that thing so that you can put some conclusion on that. That is a data analysis, and that is the most important thing in forensic audit. We are working with some department nowadays, and where if they're doing some search or something, we are working on a backend area with them. So what happened at that moment of time? We don't know if we are putting some search. There are ample of documents with us as a cyber assets. So we have a limited time to find whether there's some fraud, there's some, I would say, tax evasion is there or something like that. So at that moment of time in forensic audit, data analysis help us a lot.
Understood. So another question asked was that could you also share some of the recent example of the financial frauds in India, or your view on this IL and FS fraud?
There are many. If time permits, I can discuss on a number of frauds, but in the similar way, I would limit its few things. I already discussed 4 to 5 biggest fraud in India. And if you visit the bank sites or something like that, or RBI report, you will find not a single bank has remained to get a fraud. We're talking about the loans and advance. But instead of that, there are many more things are there in financial frauds. ऐसे बहुत से फ्रॉड है जो सामने पिक्चर में नहीं आते. हम अगर फाइनेंशियल फ्रॉड की बात करूं, लेट्स से कोई XYZ नाम की कंपनी जो बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है, it's a very big giant, and a small fraud has taken place in that company. If it comes out in a picture, the investor will get annoyed. They will bring that money back. What will happen? So that companies do not want that such a fraud is be disclosed in the picture. A simple one I would say about this thing: 2 buildings has been collapsed in Gurgaon before few days. A Supertech group, there was a fantastic fraud on that part. There is a ABG CPR case we already discussed, Satyam case, ICICI case. This is a PNB fraud case. You will find many cases. A new code has come, that is an insolvency bankruptcy code. It's a part and for this fraud only, nothing more than that. I will tell that only.
1 second. Working on that.
Right. Moving on to next question. So the another question that has been asked, that how technology has played a role in this identification of financial statement frauds in India, and what are the measures that can be taken to mitigate its impact?
Okay, your question, if I am dividing on that thing, how technology played a role in financial statement frauds in India and what measures can be taken. There are two types of things we always used to discuss, whether it's IT or something like that: preventive, detective, and corrective. So to prevent the things, there should be a proper control on that part. At various columns, we have to put that thing, and technology played a very major role. Talking this thing on different manner about the cyber frauds and financial frauds, both the things. क्या लगता है 2017 के पहले cyber frauds कितने होते थे? It was taking place, but at a lower level. Why? Because the data availability was on a very lower level, and even the speed of the technology was only 3G and not 4G. And then comes a mota bhai, that is Reliance Jio, and जिसके पूरी सबकी life हिला डाला. He have offered, because before that era, we were using internet that 1 GB at 280 rupees something approx was there. Now, in less than 280 rupees, means I would say 280 rupees, we are getting 3 GB internet on a daily basis. And even we say that data loss ho gaya, mera data khatam ho gaya. And even after UPI introductions and all such stuff, Paytm wallets and all this stuff, even a beggar in the street have that Paytm UPI. Even a small, I would say, household worker, he messagement says, Sabji, aaj mein nahi aayega, main bahar hai. So the technology has started using. Then a fraud has started to take place. You will get your email IDs hacked. You will find a SIM swap is there. Many more things is there. Same way happens with the company. Let's say a CEO is going out in some tour, and he have posted in a Facebook that thing, and a person who has left the employee before few days, and he knows that CEO is outside, and he knows the person who is now working below the means a middle management person he knows very well, and from the email ID of CEO he had that ID, or now he have now duplicated the ID of Instagram or Facebook of that CEO and send the message to the employee that I am in Japan in some meeting and I have lost my devices, and please transfer 5 lakh rupees to my this account. Whether that person is going to ask any question to his senior, or he will have to leave his job. That is a kind of a CEO phishing attack. I would say high level phishing attack. If such a thing happens, there will be financial fraud in that part. In the same way, technology play a very vital role. The first amount of crime or financial fraud happened after independence is about the army ammunition, which are something in thousands. And आजकल 1000 की बात तो होती नहीं है. We are talking about 1,000 crores, lakh crores, and all such stuff. What about the crypto frauds and many more things? So there are many things, but yes, only the technology will help you to mitigate all such stuff. And I have discussed few of them, research analysis, trade analysis, many are there, which is going to help people on that part. Thank you, Keval.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one is a very interesting question, sir. So what are the best practice as an investor? So there might be some investor also to protect themselves from the financial statement frauds happening.
To study the financial statements properly, to have a knowledge of that, and always SEBI put a guidelines and even have a specific fund for that. That is called an investor education protection fund. What investor used to do, they see the messages, YouTube message, Vidhi ma'am, welcome. And they see the messages, they see the many tips, they are working on a tips. Let's say people, there is some news, Elon Musk is putting a tweet that I love Dogecoin. Dogecoin is skyrocketing. In the same way, someone will put a message on a simple way that we think Adani is going to bring a FPO. Even Adani doesn't know that thing, he's going to bring an FPO. That can be possible. But with that news, with that thing, they used to buy the shares. People want to get rich within a few days. Same hera feri. 21 दिन में पैसा डबल चाहिए, पर 21 दिन में पैसा डबल नहीं होता. Rome was not built in a day, but Taj Mahal was not built in a day. It takes some time, patience is required. But now generation do not want that thing. If you are reading all the financial statements, you are doing your own analysis and have a proper knowledge in being an investor, there will be a less chances to hurt from such a scam. Nothing more than that. If any company is giving you extraordinary returns, extraordinary growth is there, then your mind should have a red flag and ask you, दया कुछ तो है. अगर कुछ तो है वाला आपका दिमाग में नहीं आया है, आप फ्रॉड के लिए घुसने ही वाले, वो पक्का है, आप नहीं बचने वाले हो. So there are very basic things in that.
All right. Since we have very limited time, moving on to the last question. So the question is, what are the charges that the auditor may face if he fails to perform his duties or fails to perform adequate professional skepticism as a forensic auditor?
Fine. Very nice question asked by someone, because being an auditor, एक वो तलवार दिमाग में लटकती रहती है हमारे दिमाग में, and we are always worried. And I have seen that many seniors have left the practice of auditing because of this. We know about the NAFRA, and NAFRA is a new picture where it issue notices to many people and used to ask many more things, many more investigation in that thing. Even an auditor, if he's not doing a proper work, there are two different things. One is a ignorance, and second is he applied his knowledge, but something has been missed from it. If it came into picture that he have made an ignorance of that thing and he is not performing his duty properly, so at that time there can be a suspension of his COP, suspension of his membership. There can be a civil suit against him if the client is making that thing. We have discussed about the Satyam scam, where even PwC was banned for some time. The auditor who was appointed for that Satyam audit, even he has been banned for some time for doing a COP. Even the most important thing, which is an intangible value of that CA, which comes into stake, and which is the most precious thing, because even PM of our country says that CA signature is more important than my signature. And so if you're signing anything, it is more important thing. And friends, nowadays, even client is not that much loyal, since they were before a decade, even with the professionals. And since the technology is much more growing, people are getting a much more knowledge, and they are running their own WhatsApp and Google University and not a CA University. They are getting knowledge from outside. So we have to be very much cautious, and we have to be updated with all the notifications and updates coming on a daily basis. Else there will be a panic situation for auditors and consultants, for all of us.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, once again for answering each and every question of all the students which has been asked. And now I would like to request Vidhi Gupta ma'am to share their concluding remarks and end today's session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sameer ji. Thank you, Karal ji, for taking us such a wonderful session. I would like to just give a vote of thanks. Good afternoon, everyone present online. Our chairman, sir, C. Shishil Kumar Goyal ji, our respected vice chairman, sir, C. Sridhar Mupala ji, and all the participants. It is such an honor for me to get the opportunity to thank you, all the dignitaries. On the behalf of Student Skill Enrichment Board of Studies Operation, I extend a warm welcome to the students present online in the webinar. I may like to express our sincere thanks to CA Sameer Chaudhary ji and CA Kailash for giving an excellent opportunity, excellent coverage to the topic financial frauds in financial statement, and encouraging all of us with your words and enhancing the knowledge in such a lucid way. You presented with a live examples to the student that will be easier them to understand it. I must thank to the organizing team for working hard every weekend to make this webinar series of webinars successful day by day. I congratulate all the participants for their active participation. Thank you everyone once again for making it a great success. Dear students, stay tuned with us every Sunday from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. to enhance your skill sets on the practical aspects. You can download all the webinars from the DLH Hub, and it is available on ICI YouTube channels. Every PPT is available on the DLH Hub. You can download it and view it anytime. Thank you so much.